Defense wins championships, even in fantasy football. Today I'm going to go over the top 5 defenses for the rest of 2022 in fantasy football and the ones that I think are going to help you win your fantasy championship. I'm also going to discuss what you should do if you don't have them, how to acquire them, and how to move forward so you can make sure that you can get one of these top 5 defenses. So we're going to start at 5 here and then work our way up. So here at number 5, they're in tier 2. It's the Baltimore Ravens defense, guys. Baltimore's defense does a great job of getting to the opposing quarterback, getting sacks. They just added a difference maker on defense with Roquan Smith. They're also pretty good at creating turnovers. Their remaining schedule from here on out, before week 10 is when I'm filming this, they have a bye week this week, which is really good for them considering that they are a defense that has just got a new star to their team. So they are going to have another week to get him more involved in the system. Then after that, they're at home against Carolina. That is a great matchup. They will terrorize PJ Walker and the Carolina Panthers. Then they're going to Jacksonville. I expect them to take care of business against Jacksonville. Then they're at home against Denver, a struggling offense I believe that they can take advantage of as well. Then they're in Pittsburgh, and then in Cleveland. I think they'll handle both those teams, especially the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then they're at home against Atlanta in the second week of your playoffs, so that's going to be a really good matchup as well. I think they'll take advantage of Marcus Mariota. And then in the championship game, they're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. Baltimore's defense has already been really good this year, and they're adding in another star player to their team. They're only 62% rostered, so that means they are still out there. Baltimore's defense at number 5 on the top 5 defenses in fantasy football for the rest of 2022. All right, so here at number 4, they're also in tier 2. I have the Seattle Seahawks defense. This defense is They're a turnover machine, man. They force at least one fumble per game this season. They get after your quarterback. They have good defensive backs. They are starting to really come together as a team led by Geno Smith, but that defense is really starting to gel together as well. Now they've got Tampa Bay. They're going to be in Tampa Bay tomorrow in week 10. So that matchup, I don't think it's as scary as it looks on paper because of Tampa Bay's struggles lately, especially on the ground game. I think they're going to be able to wreak some havoc over there in Tampa Bay. Then they're on a bye, which is really good, guys. A bye week for a defense this late in the season is good. Get your guys back, get them healthy, get them on the same page if they're not already. Then they're playing the Las Vegas Raiders at home. I think that matchup is good. The Vegas Raiders are very much in shambles. They're very much divided right now. Devontae Adams has been making comments about the Raiders having issues, him having issues with Derek Carr. I don't think this situation is getting much better. Then they're going to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. I love this matchup. The Rams do not scare me anymore. They are a very good matchup for your opposing defense. In fact, it could be argued that they're the best matchup for your defense to go up against in fantasy football. Then they're at home against Carolina. That's fantastic. That's a matchup you want. Now here's where you want to run into some problems. Here in the playoffs, they go up against San Francisco at home. That's a problem, man. San Francisco is very much a solid team. They're one of the best teams in the NFL and have one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. I don't like that matchup very much. And it doesn't get better because in week 16, the second week of the fantasy playoffs, they're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. Not a very good start to the playoffs. And then they have the New York Jets in the championship matchup. That could go either way. The Jets are a good team right now, but how long will it last? Now, the reason I have Seattle here above Baltimore is because Seattle has been so good at creating turnovers this year. So I think that they will continue to do that even against good teams. But there is obviously the issue here. Why I didn't rank Seattle higher is because of those last two of the last 3 matchups being so hard. I just don't think I'm more comfortable putting them anywhere higher than this. But I also do believe that just the trajectory of this team and the fact that they're creating so many turnovers per week, they deserve to be in the top 5, and they sit here at number 4. So coming in at number 3, you have the first break, and now you're getting into tier 1. And at number 3, I have Dallas's defense at number 3. Their schedule is really good. So Dallas has Green Bay tomorrow in Green Bay. That matchup does not scare me at all. I think that matchup is great. They are struggling very hard right now. Continued injuries continue to pile on the Packers. I think Dallas rolls, and they have a great defensive performance tomorrow. Then they're going to Minnesota after that. And I think on the surface it might sound tough, but that game is going to be a primetime game. That is going to be nationally televised. We know that Kirk Cousins is not good in primetime. He sucks in primetime. I think Dallas actually outperforms Minnesota in that game as well, and they can cause some havoc back there for Kirk Cousins. Then they take on the Giants at home after that. I think the Giants can be neutralized. I think Dallas knows how to neutralize the Giants. Then they have Indianapolis at home. That matchup is fantastic. Same with this next week afterwards. Houston at home. Fantastic 2-game stretch right there. They're going to dominate. Then to start out the playoffs, they go to Jacksonville. I think they can neutralize Jacksonville. Dallas's defense is just so good at creating havoc in the backfield. They have Micah Parsons being a stud. They have Trayvon Diggs in the backfield. He's going to be able to make plays against Trevor Lawrence, I believe. See, this is the toughest matchup right here. Second week in the playoffs. They have Philadelphia at home. That is the toughest and most scary one right there. I think that they'll be fine. I don't think that they're going to kill you that week. That is obviously the biggest wild card of this schedule right here. And then they go back on the road to Tennessee. Now that's going to be another one of those where it's like, I think that they could take advantage of that just because of Tennessee's offense this year being so one-dimensional. I think they'll be able to take advantage of that in the championship game. Now Dallas's defense is going to be harder to acquire. They're 92% rostered, so they're still out there in some leagues, but in other leagues, you're going to have to create trade packages for them, and we'll go over that in the end. My number 2 defense for the rest of the year is the New York Jets freaking defense, guys. This defense is stout. They have an identity. The great thing about the Jets right now is they have an identity. They run the football. They play great defense. They're a master at creating turnovers, whether it's forced fumbles or interceptions. They get after your quarterback as well. The Jets defense is for real. They're also on a bye week this week, so that gives them time to get back together, get some rest, whatever they need to do to get back out there, because then they have New England and Foxborough the next week. I think that New England can be neutralized. I think it's been proven all throughout the year. They will do that in my opinion. Then they took on the Bears at home. The Bears are very hot right now offensively, so that's a little bit of a wild card, but I do think that they can step up. Then they go to Minnesota. That one's another potentially tough one, but I think the way the Jets defense has been playing, I think that they can get to Kirk Cousins and really rattle him. Then they take off Buffalo in Buffalo, which on the surface sounds really scary, but just last week, they were able to handle the Buffalo Bills offense, and how long is this Josh Allen injury going to last? That is the biggest issue right here. He has an elbow injury. He may not even play tomorrow, but I think that the Jets defense can absolutely do it again against Buffalo. It's going to be a different story this time with it in Buffalo, but I don't think this is as scary as it sounds. And their playoff schedule, really, this is why they're number 2. They have Detroit at home. This is exactly what you want in the first week of your playoffs. Then they have Jacksonville at home. They will be able to neutralize Jacksonville's offense. And then they go to Seattle for the last week in your fantasy playoffs. I think they'll be able to neutralize Geno Smith. Now, this is good news, guys. They are 31% rostered because they're on a bye week this week. If you have an open spot on your roster that you can just throw the Jets defense on the back of your bench, I would be doing that right now. The number 1 defense for me is going to be Philadelphia's defense. This defense all year has just been consistent at getting at your quarterback, creating turnovers, creating havoc in the backfield. They are a tremendous defense with a tremendous schedule. They're playing Washington in week 10 at home. This is going to be a nightmare. They're going to be all over Washington. They're going to slaughter Washington. Then they go to Indianapolis. They're going to slaughter Indianapolis as well. Then they play Green Bay at home. I think they'll be able to neutralize Aaron Rodgers and the Packers just fine. Then they play Tennessee at home. Same type of deal. One-dimensional offense. They'll be fine. Then they go to the New York Giants, and I think that they can neutralize the Giants as well. You can neutralize Daniel Jones. The Eagles are a smart and well-coached team. I think they'll be able to figure that out. Now, here's their playoff schedule. It's a little bit dicey potentially, but their last one is great. So they have Chicago in Chicago in that first week. Dicey because just how hot Justin Fields has been and the rest of the Bears offense on the rise right now. We'll see how that plays out over the next couple weeks for the Bears. Then they go to Dallas, and they're taking on Dallas. That's the toughest matchup here, obviously, but I think that they have been able to stop Dallas in the past. And then they take on New Orleans at home. That is a fantastic championship week matchup. I love that matchup right there. Again, they're a hard defense to acquire. They're 96% rostered. You're going to have to make some trades. And then my honorable mentions right here. Number 6 defense is Buffalo. Number 7 defense is New York Giants. And number 8 defense is New England. So guys, here's the thing. Some of these defenses are very well much on your waiver wire right now. And that's why I am saying that you need to to scour your waiver wire right now. Check out your roster. See if you can drop a loose player just to put a defense on your bench right now that may be on a bye week. New York Jets, 31% rostered. Seattle's defense, 23% rostered. The Giants defense, 57% rostered. Some of these really good defenses are on your waiver wire right now, so I encourage you to check out your waiver wire to see how things are looking. And as far as trading for defenses, guys, this is a very underrated move into fantasy football. Most of you know that your trade deadline is coming up, but if you can concoct a package where you can get an upgraded position and then get a defense thrown into the package as well, this is a great way to further move your team forward without really even making your opponent think about it too much. Try to get a defense like Baltimore, Philly, Dallas's defense. One of those defenses where you know that their schedule is good and they've been so good already this year. Try to get them thrown in on a trade package, man. I think you could be surprised at how well you could do that. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and become an official Fanalyst by joining the Patreon today. Click that link in the description to become a Fanalyst right now. And if you're looking for potential league winners of fantasy football this year, click on this video right here.